Right now, I'm standing in the middle of my library. This is my favorite place. Do you know, Earl Nightingale said if you surround your mind with greatness, some of it's going to rub off. Well, hopefully, some of it has rubbed off on me. I have maybe 3,000 or 4,000 books here on the shelf. They're all in alphabetical order, by author. They're all cataloged. So I know where to find something just like that. I go by authors more than the title of the book. Do you know that when I started studying these books, I really didn't know very much about anything. I had 2 months high school. I was 26 years old. I had a bad work record, a bad attitude, and virtually no experience. And you know, in a relatively short period of time, my income went from $4,000 to $175,000 a year. Then it went over $1 million. Now people say, well, how'd you do that? Well, you know, in Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, he said, now right here we come to a rather strange fact. We tend to minimize the things we can do, the goals we can accomplish, and for some equally strange reason, we think other people can accomplish things that we cannot. And he points out that there's a difference between wishing for a thing and being ready to receive them. He said no one's ready for a thing until they believe that they can acquire it. The state of mind must be belief and not mere hope or wish.
We live in a three-dimensional reality. Everything that we look at, an object, a person, anything that's physical or material, has height and depth and width, and we can pick things up, right? And we can say, well, that's an object, and I have a body, and now that I have a body and I'm aware, I'm a consciousness, then I'm local in space and time. And in this reality of three-dimensional reality, there's an infinite amount of space. Space is eternal. Space is actually accelerating right now. It's no longer expanding, it's accelerating. Okay, so we know that space is eternal, and the way we experience time in three-dimensional reality is we have to go from one point of awareness, like I'm sitting here, and if I want to go to my garden, I put my attention on another point of awareness. That's my other point of consciousness. Now, if I want to have the experience of getting to my garden or picking a piece of fruit off my tree, I have to move my body through space, and when I move from one point of awareness to the other point of awareness, that interval is called time. So everything in three-dimensional reality takes time to create. You experience separation. I'm here and you're there, and everything's separate from me. And so our senses plug us into three-dimensional reality. Think about this. If you were lost all your senses, you weren't seeing, you weren't hearing, you weren't smelling, you weren't tasting, you couldn't feel with your body, you would have no experience of three-dimensional reality. And yet you would be conscious and aware, but you would have no interaction with anything physical or material. Okay, that makes sense. All right, so then the way we get about creating our future is that we say, okay, I want to have this new house, I want to have a dog, I want to have a new relationship, I want to live in this place. And what the brain automatically does based on its experience of itself up until that point, remember the brain is a record of the past, it's a memory bank of everything you've learned and experienced. So the brain says, okay, let me predict how this is going to happen. I got to take on a second job. Okay, I got to start saving my beans. I got to make better choices. I may actually try to figure out a way to invest better. You know, you're gonna, and your brain says, okay, I'm gonna have that life in 2 years if I get my behaviors to match my intentions and I keep making the same choices. I'm gonna run into that experience. Okay, so let's think about it. The same thing occurs. There's me here, Joe Dispenza. I'm aware that I'm local in space and time. And then where's my future? Way out there. My brain is forecasting it way out in the future based on what I've done in the past or what I know about myself in the past. Okay, so now I got to go from this point to that point, and I'm separate from that experience. So I'm going to spend my entire life waiting for that experience to happen, to take away the lack or separation from having it. So the interval between the thought of what I want and the experience of having it is called time, cause and effect, right? So then, as we said earlier, when you have the experience, you get the house, you know, and you pay it off, and it takes 30 years. You know, you're too old to enjoy it. You're going to sell it anyway. You know, everything's, you know, everything's taken a lot of time and a lot of energy.
Now, he goes on to caution us. He said, open-mindedness is essential to belief. Closed minds will not inspire faith, courage, or belief. And he winds this up by saying something that just about blew my mind. He said, remember, No more effort is required in order to aim high in life, to demand abundance and prosperity, than is required to accept misery and poverty. Well, you know, that information really played on my mind, and I began to study it. I began to study this concept of belief. You know, what's it all about? You'll find it in the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Torah, all the great books, all the self-help books. They tell you got to believe. In fact, you go back around 1900, the great American psychologist William James, he said, believe and your belief will actually create the fact. Think about that. How do you develop belief? Well, I was sitting with a mentor of mine in a hotel one day, and we were just chatting back and forth, and he said something. I said, wait a minute, what'd you say? He said, our belief system is based upon our evaluation of something. And frequently when we reevaluate a situation, our belief about that situation will change completely. Well, what he just did was give me the answer to something I had been trying to figure out. You know, I take my income from 4,000 to over $1 million. I didn't know what I had done. And as he said that, it started to fall into place because I had been looking, and I had been looking for 9 years trying to figure out why I changed. That's what got me studying the books, going to programs, and there's not much about the mind that I really don't understand. Now, I've been studying it for close to 50 years, and he said, our belief about something is based upon our evaluation. See, what I had been doing was reevaluating who I was. And do you know, when you reevaluate who you are not your report card. You are not your balance sheet. You're not the last evaluation that you got from somebody you work for. You're so much more than that. Think of this for a moment. Do you know that your brain is an electronic switching station? And you, the real you, has the ability to, like that, activate brain cells and change the vibration you're in. And as you change your vibration, you would change what you attract into your life. That's what the secret's based on, the law of attraction. Do you understand how to work with the law of attraction? You're already working with it, but do you understand how to work with it? To see this mass of energy that you're living in, and that's what it is, it's a molecular structure, it vibrates. It vibrates so fast it appears to be still. See, the law of vibration states that everything in the universe vibrates, nothing rests. You know, if you watch The Secret, you heard me quote Dr. Werner von Braun. He said that the natural laws of this universe are so precise that we don't have any difficulty building spaceships. We can send people to the moon, and we can actually time the landing with the precision of a fraction of a second. Now, I said these laws must have been set by someone. Well, you know, this whole universe operates by law. Now, the more you understand the law, the more you understand how to bring your life into harmony with the law, the more you take control over yourself.
Their outer world. They're waiting for something to change in their outer world to take away this feeling of fear or anxiety or frustration or impatience or resentment or pain or suffering or guilt or shame. And they're living by that emotional state, and they would rather cling to those memories and those emotions because at least it's the known, right? And it's survival. Why? Because in survival, the unknown, you better run from the unknown. There's better chances of survival. So nobody takes a chance, right? Okay, so then back to the 3D world then. The Newtonian world, the classical world of quantum physics is all about, Newtonian physics is all about the predictable, right? And we can shoot a rocket to the moon if we know the distance and the speed of the rocket. We can determine the time it's going to take to get there. So this three-dimensional reality is all about predictions, right? Okay, well, you can get what you want, but you got to work really hard, and it's going to take a lot of time and energy. You can develop the skills to get it. Okay, now, so is there possibly another way to do it? I mean, okay, let's look at another way. Is there another way to actually do it in a shorter amount of time, to shorten the distance between the thought of what you want and the experience of having it, between the cause and the effect? From one point of consciousness, I'm here, and another point of consciousness, I want the experience of this here. Is there a way to do that? Okay, well, let's unpack the whole model of quantum physics. Okay, so you look at an atom. An atom is 99.99999% nothing. And I say nothing, I mean it's energy, it's nothing. It's a 0.0000001% physical and material. And it is a science. Yeah, that's what we're made of. And it's a scientific fact. It's the mathematics prove that we're perceiving less than 1% of reality. Okay, so what we're perceiving then is the frequency of light, the wavelength of light coming off the sun, which is the rainbow, bouncing off of objects that give us the illusion of separation in three-dimensional reality, okay? That's what we're seeing, right? We're seeing and experiencing the material world by light being projected onto it. Take away the light out of three-dimensional reality, you don't really have a whole lot of experience of it. You bump into a lot of things. I mean, take away all light, okay? So the atom is both particle, material, and wave. And what's wave? What is wave? Frequency. What is frequency? Energy. What does frequency and energy do? They carry information. Okay. So the quantum field then is that invisible field of energy, of frequency that exists beyond our senses that we're not perceiving, but it still exists. Just because we're unaware of it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Okay, so how much of your waking day, in your waking life, do you put your attention on matter? And how much of your waking day do you put your attention on frequency and energy? Well, throw in the hormones of stress, and your attention's on your body, on the environment and time. Where you place your attention is where you place your energy. So now all of your energy and attention is invested in this three-dimensional reality, and it appears really real because that's where our attention is. Okay. So in that state, we said, okay, if the quantum field exists, we know it does. We're just unaware of it. We can experience it with our senses. The only thing that we can experience it with is our awareness.
Do you know that you can have anything you want? Anything? Do you realize the electrical system built into this body, which is your central nervous system, it would make the electrical system in a supercomputer look like an absolute toy? Do you think it would be worthwhile reevaluating who you are, what you can do? See, I failed miserably on my report cards. I got bad recommendations from my officers in the Navy. But then one day I woke up. And you know, I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, I have business all over the world, I've got great friends all over the world. Do you know why? I understood how to take charge of me. Do you know who you are? You know, I heard Bill Gove one time say, if I want to be free, I've got to be me. Not the me I think you think I should be. Not the me I think my wife thinks I should be. Not the me I think my kids think I should be. No. If I want to be free, I've got to be me. There's one catch to this. I've got to know who me is. And you know, by studying yourself, you're going to open up something in your mind that's going to make every minute of every day of the rest of your life an exciting adventure. And it should be an exciting adventure. It should never be a bore. And you know something? It can be. And you know what you're going to learn? You're going to learn how to love a little more and hate a little less. You're going to learn how to earn all the money you want. There's an infinite source of supply. There's no shortage of money. And don't let the economy control you. You've got to control the economy. Don't listen to those guys on the news, reading the paper. Nah. You control the economy in here. Do you know during the worst depression, there was people earning millions? And there will be during this recession or that recession. Don't listen to that. Build images in your mind and understand how to execute them. I've been teaching this now for 40 years, and I've never lost one bit of enthusiasm for it. It's such great information. Let me leave you with this idea. Who are you? Find out who you are. Just like that, take control of your life.